fresh, and visionary. Loice Dube is the fashion designer redefining African luxury. As the 2023 AFI Fast Track winner and lead designer for AFI Privé, she's crafting a future where heritage meets innovation. This is Loice Dube. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode with Threads and Thoughts. Today we're joined by the lovely Loice Dube, the in-house designer for House of Nala Privé by Africa Fashion International. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
You know, you've been celebrated internationally, being recognized by renowned global artists such as Yinka. And what I want to know is, how do you stay grounded and intentional in your work now that you've had your breakthrough?
I think for me, it does have a sense of gratification. You know, obviously when you get recognized, especially by the likes of a legend like Yinka. However, I stay grounded by just remembering why I started in the first place and why I do this in the first place. I love what I do, and I think the work is what satisfies me. It's what keeps me going, and I do believe that I still have a lot to learn. The world of fashion is big. So I do believe that staying grounded is just remembering the reason that I'm here and that I want to learn more than anything.
I love that. And your passion for inclusivity is clear, from storytelling to fashion. What does true inclusivity look like to you in the African fashion space, and what are we still getting wrong?
I think I wouldn't say what are we still getting wrong. I think Africans are doing a lot of things right. We are taking our space. We're making a name for ourselves in the world. I do think that when it comes to inclusivity, the world needs to learn that African people come in different shapes and forms, and I do believe that sometimes we are expected to stay within a box that categorizes us as people who are just, in terms of fashion, who work with print, and that's all. But I believe that there's more to us, and true inclusivity means not only consuming our work, but also, investing in our work, making sure that we've got the proper infrastructure to, get our work out there and to let the world see our work.
I love that. You've traveled across Africa capturing Black elegance and cultural richness. How has that journey shaped your perspective on what African fashion and identity really means globally?
So I believe that African fashion, it changed my perspective on what I think African fashion is, because I realized that a lot of us are influenced, or there's a part of colonialism that influenced how people dress now. For example, when we saw the Lasapiers in Congo, that culture is hugely influenced by Western style of dress. However, what Africans have done and stayed true to is, they always add a piece of themselves. They always add a bit of flair, a bit of color, a bit of brightness to everything. So that's one thing that I love about African people and their fashion. And the fact that they don't shy away from who they are. In everything that you see, who they are, their identity is, richly indebted in what they do. So I love that about African people.
I love that as well. And you've mentioned wanting to bring back manufacturing and textile production locally. What would it take to revive that industry in Africa, and how do you see young creatives playing a role in it?
I believe that when it comes to manufacturing, we need infrastructure. We need the right manufacturers, we need the right fabric manufacturers first and foremost. I believe that right now most of our fabrics are being sourced from, places like China, places like Bangladesh, including some of the clothes that are being made. Although we do have manufacturers and, textiles that are being made here, I believe that we need more infrastructure, and we need more money and investment put into manufacturing, put into infrastructure that will help young creatives, build sustainable brands. I do think that, we have great ideas, but we are not at a place where we can manufacture for ourselves. We're not at a place where we can make our own fabrics, and still build sustainable businesses. So I do believe that when it comes to manufacturing particularly, and just having fashion being a very strong hold in South Africa economically, we need to get it right when it comes to infrastructure.
Yeah, definitely. And Fast Track was a major moment. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And now you're working full time with AFI. What's next for you? How do you keep building with purpose now that the spotlight is on you?
I think, like you said, Fast Track was an amazing journey, and it taught me a lot. It brought me together with a lot of people, with a lot of amazing creatives. I think what's next is just to continue building, continue growing, continue learning. Fast Track was a huge learning curve, but I don't think the learning stopped there. Like I said before, the world of fashion is very big. What's next is, cementing my voice in African fashion and making sure that the message that I'm trying to portray is heard.
I love that. And your journey, do you have any advice on those that are going to be entering the Fast Track competition, and what should they look out for, and any word of advice?
I think my word of advice is to always stay prepared for the opportunity when it presents itself. Keep yourself informed about the industry. Keep yourself informed about what's happening around you. That's the best way you can stay prepared, by learning, by, always pushing yourself, challenging yourself, because there are a lot of challenges that we take on with the Fast Track program, and you are tasked to think outside of the box, think quickly on your feet. So if you know about your industry, if you're well informed, you've done half of the job for yourself, so, stay prepared because you want the opportunity. You just have to stay ready and, arm yourself.
Definitely. And I'm sure it was an amazing journey for you.
It was, definitely.
So fashion can be powerful in shaping narratives. How do you personally use fashion as a tool of resistance, reclamation, or cultural storytelling?
So for me, in all of my work, even before I started working at AFI, I always tried to tell the African story. And I think that's one thing that stays true in my work. I always try to come at it with a narrative, with an African narrative, with an African understanding, because I do believe that there are a lot of African stories that still need to be heard outside of what's been seen out there.
And I love that. And the visual language in your work is distinct and cinematic. Can you walk us through your creative process? Where do you start when you're conceptualizing a story or campaign?
When I'm working on a campaign, I live within the campaign. I try to immerse myself within what I'm trying to work on. I dive deep into research, researching what I want to talk about, and looking at different narratives and looking at whether maybe the story has been told in a different way somewhere else by somebody else, and first and foremost, it's research for me, and it's really understanding in depth the message that I'm trying to get out there, and then after the research phase is done, then I go into the designing phase, and obviously there's a lot of reiterations of the designs. Some designs I'll draw up and scratch out and throw away, but first and foremost, and I think the most important thing for me is that research phase, then design phase, and then obviously then after that, then the product can be made. However, I do think that one thing that is important for me is to make sure that the story stays within the product throughout, and there are little pieces of that story or little pieces of that story in that garment that the customer can feel or resonate with when they wear the product.
Oh, I like that. And now that you spoke about the customer aspect, do you believe your mood plays a role in whatever you want to wear?
Of course, I believe that it plays a role. Sometimes I wake up on a weekday and I feel like, I just want to put on some joggers, a tracksuit and a hoodie. I want to be comfortable, and sometimes I'll put that on, and sometimes I'll wake up and think, today I want to look professional. I really want to be on my boss babe mood today, so I'll put on a blazer, make sure that I'm done up all good from head to toe. So your mood does play a role. And your personality as well. Some people love to be bright and shiny, and it will reflect sometimes in their personalities. And some people don't like to be seen so much, so they'll wear less color. They'll wear colors that don't, or silhouettes that don't scream too much. So I do think that those things play a very important role in how you dress, and not that there's one that's right or wrong. I think that everybody needs to feel comfortable in what they wear.
Definitely. So what inspired your look for today? I love this.
It's funny. It's a funny story, but today I woke up and there was a song that was playing in my head. A song by Moloi-Mtetwa, and I think he was very young as well. He was a teenager back in the 90s, I think. And there was a song that he sang with the two other kids, and that song is like "Ooh Babuya Jole next door." So that song was just playing in my head, and I was wondering what would they be wearing if they were singing the song. And I was like, what's in my wardrobe? And then this is how I came up with this look, and that song has been ringing in my head since morning. So yeah, that's the mood for today.
That's dope. And that's another thing, music and fashion go hand in hand. I love that. And this is by you guys. I love this. The color.
Looks good on you.
What color is this? Like, what?
So that's like a beige Melton. It's made out of Melton fabric.
Wow.
It's perfect for winter. Very soft, very comfy. But it gives a very cool, edgy look. It's different from what you'd find like a normal safari jacket at the store. We really thought, and first of all, this is a men's wear look, but looks so good. So I think it reads as a unisex item as well. Looks lovely on you, by the way.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's available for pre-order in our at the House of Nala website, and yeah, you can definitely get one for yourself.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And that's all from us, Threads and Thoughts, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning into today's episode. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube or Spotify pages and sign up at shop.africanfashioninternational.com/city for your signature look. Until next time, stay bold, stay intentional, and stay you.